What if a modern sniper found himself at the Battle of Agincourt, and began to reshape history from a distance that 15th century warfare simply couldn't be managed at? October 25, 1415. Northern France. A narrow field between two forests had been completely washed away by rain. Knee-deep mud, cold, fog. The French army, tens of thousands, confident, heavy cavalry, and nobles in the finest armor in Europe. The English were vastly outnumbered, exhausted, and trapped in a corridor. The outcome seemed obvious. But off to the side, at the edge of the forest, a man appeared who didn't fit into any military chronicle of that time. He came to among wet leaves. Modern camouflage, body armor, a rifle with a scope, a silencer. No communication, no drones, just him and a 15th century battlefield. Before his eyes, real armies, real horses, real knights. This was not a dream or a reenactment. He instantly understands, if a battle breaks out here, he will be the only one who sees what's happening from a distance inaccessible to everyone else. The sniper climbs higher up the slope, choosing a position. He sees everything, the English line of archers, the dense masses of French, the narrow passage between the woods. It's the perfect trap, but none of the French commanders realize it yet. The sniper understands the main thing: in a battle like this, it's not numbers that matter, but command. And if he can break it at the very beginning, the rest of the field will do the work itself. The French commanders are organizing their attack. Banners, shouts, confidence in a quick victory. The knights chatter and joke, not taking the enemy seriously. Through his scope, the sniper picks out the figures giving orders. He takes his time. He waits for the moment when a single shot can affect not just one man, but hundreds at once. The first shot sounds dull and is lost in the wind. The French commander falls from his horse, as if he'd tripped. No arrow, no blow, just a sudden fall. For a few seconds, no one reacts. Then confusion sets in. Orders are cut off, officers look at each other, unsure what's happened. The first domino has already fallen, even though the battle hasn't even begun. The French cavalry charges under momentum. Hundreds of horses rush forward, but their speed drops almost immediately. The mud drags them down, the formation breaks, horses collide. The marksman works coolly, he targets standard bearers, messengers, those maintaining order. Every shot isn't just a single missing soldier, it's a loss of control over the situation. The English archers begin firing. Arrows fall in a dense rain, but chaos becomes crucial. The French knights become confused, getting in each other's way, unable to understand where death is coming from. The marksman shifts to a new position, remaining invisible. For the people below, it's like a curse: people fall for no apparent reason, and fear spreads faster than any command. The French infantry tries to support the cavalry, but the narrow passage becomes a bottleneck. Men crush each other, fall, and are unable to rise in their heavy armor. The sniper watches and barely fires, the process has already begun. Panic breaks discipline, and without it, superior numbers are meaningless. The crowd becomes its own problem. The first French units begin to retreat, creating even greater disorder. Those fleeing hinder those still advancing. The English archers intensify their fire, taking advantage of the dense concentration of targets. The sniper fires a couple more accurate shots at key figures, cementing the effect. Now it's no longer an offensive, but a chain reaction that cannot be stopped by an order. The French knights, trapped in the mud, lose their most important asset, mobility. Horses skid, men fall, and the formation disintegrates completely. Those who manage to break through find themselves entangled in their own ranks, stuck behind. The sniper sees the army's elite disintegrating into a dense, unruly mass. He selects new targets among the second-line officers, preventing the emergence of any command center. Fear begins to work against the French. Men see their commanders falling nearby, but hear no battle. There is no whistle of arrows, no strike of blades. This breaks the psyche faster than any weapon. The sniper pauses, allowing panic to grow. The English archers continue firing methodically, taking advantage of the fact that the enemy is more focused on escape than on the offensive. An attempt to gather reserves and commit them to the battle ends in failure. The narrow field prevents the deployment of new forces, and the old ones continue to block the passage. The sniper changes position and, with pinpoint fire, disrupts the last attempts at coordination. Now the French are acting disorganized, separate groups, separate decisions, no common goal. The army exists only in name. The English infantry begins to advance cautiously. The soldiers see before them not a coherent enemy, but stranded, exhausted knights. The attacks are short, brutal, without any knightly duels. The sniper watches this from the sidelines and realizes that his intervention has been a catalyst. He didn't replace the archers, he gave them ideal conditions. The French banners fall one after another. Those still holding on lose their bearings. Some shout of betrayal, others of divine wrath. No one thinks about tactics. The sniper fires a few more shots, finally depriving the French of the last figures capable of giving orders. After this, resistance becomes sporadic and quickly fades. The mass flight turns into a stampede. The French try to retreat, but the mud in their own bodies prevent them. The English archers close the distance, firing almost point blank. The sniper no longer intervenes, he simply records the results. The domino effect has reached its final stage, it cannot be stopped, even if desired. By midday, the battlefield looks like a trap sprung from within. Thousands of French soldiers are either dead or immobilized. The English don't fully understand how they managed to turn the tide of the battle. They see the result, but not the cause. The sniper remains an invisible factor, whose existence no one even suspects. The battle is essentially over, although isolated skirmishes continue. The French army no longer poses a threat. The sniper understands that his presence is no longer needed. Everything that could break has already broken. Now history will continue on its own, recording the French defeat in familiar terms, without mentioning the real trigger. The sniper retreats deeper into the forest, moving slowly and deliberately. He checks sector after sector, though he knows there's no one to pursue him. All attention is focused on the field, where their plans and destinies are crumbling. For 15th century soldiers, the enemy must be visible. But they simply don't know how to fight against an invisible enemy. Silence reigns on the field of Agincourt, broken by the groans and cries of the wounded. The English exchange glances, disbelieving the outcome. The French are shocked by their own defeat. No one can explain how an army with such superiority was broken in a matter of hours. The sniper watches from afar, realizing he has become the longest-range participant in this battle. He realizes he's hardly fired at ordinary soldiers. His goals were different: command, communication, confidence. In medieval warfare, everything depended on commanders and banners. Take them away, and the crowd disintegrates. This isn't magic or fate, but simple logic that this era hasn't yet learned to recognize. Later, chroniclers will write about the mud, the archers, the overconfidence of the French nobility. They'll be right, but not entirely. Not one of them will mention the men who saw the entire battlefield and intervened at the right moment. History will preserve the result, but lose the cause, because it's too alien and incomprehensible. For the French, this day will be a catastrophe; for the English, legend. For the sniper, simply an operation without accountability or reward. He didn't radically change the past, but he made it harsher and faster. Agincourt was doomed anyway, but now the domino effect worked without delay and with maximum force. If medieval commanders had known what the future held, they wouldn't have feared swords and spears. They would have feared distance, silence, and precision. For these are the things that destroy order the fastest. The sniper embodied this threat long before humanity gave it a name. Leaving the battlefield, he understands, in any era, it's not the one with the most men who wins, but the one who controls the moment. Agincourt proved this twice, first with archers, and then with a man from the future who saw the system's weakness and pulled the trigger precisely when it was decisive. What if a modern sniper had been at the Battle of Agincourt? He didn't become a hero or rewrite the history books. He simply set off a chain reaction that could not be stopped. One shot, one decision, one battlefield, and history took a familiar path, but with an acceleration no one was prepared for.